Okay, I should be on. All right, very good. If you haven't noticed, for those of you, we want to keep everybody informed as much as we can. If you haven't noticed, we've kind of been here for a week or two, and then we'll be gone for a while, and then we'll come back for another week or so, and then we'll be gone again. Well, if you haven't had a chance to really kind of connect with what we were doing and where we were going each and every week, we kind of wanted to just give you an update and let you know that we weren't sitting on our couch eating chips and watching sports. We were out doing something. And we want to kind of talk about that real quick. And how many of you that were talking about this church plan and going out and you all, Cornerstone here, sending us out to start a brand new church in the greater Madison area, how many of you heard this term that they're going out on deputation? Anybody hear that? Okay, you heard that word? I'll be honest with you. When I heard that word first when I was a kid and talking about missionaries going around and doing deputation, I had no idea what that meant. Didn't know if it involved, getting a badge of some kind, or I don't know. Didn't know exactly what it was. So I want to kind of explain what deputation is and what purpose it serves and kind of where we've been with that deputation. Looked up the dictionary definition. And I think it's pretty applicable here. It says a group of people appointed to undertake a mission or take part in a formal process on behalf of a larger group. That's exactly what deputation is. When a missionary goes out on deputation, they're from their team, from their sending church, and they come with just the one man or the family or a couple families, and they come and they share their burden, their call that God has on their life. And what they're doing is they're talking to other churches of like faith and order that can say, if you feel led of God, you can get on board and be a part of this and somehow. If it's just praying for us, that's great, and we thank you for that. Some churches feel led to do more than that, and they get on board financially to help. They'll send maybe a check here every month or a one-time offering or whatever it might be. And it's kind of part of getting the word out and getting the mission out there of what exactly we're going to do. So when we talk about going on deputation, that's a big kind of church word, and hopefully we understand a little better. But the big questions that come up for deputation is really two questions. How much does it cost, and what is the benefit? Because usually when you send a family or two out, especially with two, it does cost something. It costs time, it costs energy, and of course it costs finances. So we're going to look at what the cost has been and what the benefit has been, at least so far here in our journey in getting a church started. So we're going to start from the very beginning and start with the Madison Church Planning Endeavor startup costs that we put together. In order to go on deputation, we kind of got a booth back there in the foyer. It has our information, our prayer cards, our contact info, and a little bit of candy, hopefully to entice some people over there. And that's usually what we do, along with our sign up on our iPads. That's usually what we put out there, hopefully to engage people. We stand out there by our booths. And so with the startup cost for that, the tables, the banners, the prayer cards, almost $400. Then in order to really start a church plant, you have to have people on site, right? And we were in Michigan at the time. We were in Detroit, Michigan, Sterling Heights. And I tell you what, every time I see a Penske truck like that now, I just cringe, because we had a 26-footer with a trailer on the back of that with a car on it. We had a 3-car Envoy. So anyway, it was quite a journey to get the 500 miles from Detroit over here to Reedsburg. But that relocation cost is right about what we estimated as a church there. So right off the bat, that's what we have, and that's what Cornerstone invested just to get us here and to get us ready to go. So I want to take you through the last 4 months or so, 3 months or so, very quickly, because Brother Joe will shoot daggers with his eyes if I take too much of his preaching time, okay? So our travel part 1, we're going to trot around the globe here from March 18th to April 15th. If you remember, April 15th was the day we moved. It was the day we came over right after Sunday morning service. We got here on the 16th. The 18th was the Sunday after I told my church that I was pastoring in Sterling Heights that we were leaving. We started doing deputation right after that. The week after, 3/18, we started doing that. And we went and shared our burden with 10 different churches there. 10 presentations are all listed there. 9 in Michigan, 1 in Indiana. And I kind of want to put them on the map so you can see where we went and how we did it. We have a little chart up there. You see the good cop, bad cop on the left? Brother Joe's got a nice smile, and I don't know what's wrong with me there. Joe said this morning, he said, man, why don't you give me a cool picture with sunglasses like that? But anyway, so we went across 10 different spots across Michigan and Indiana, and you can see there, some of them Brother Joe was able to travel away to and present on Sunday mornings while I was preaching back at the church I pastored at Bethel. Others I was able to go do on my own on Sunday evening. And there were a few appointments that we were able to do together. It kind of really helped having both of us. There's that truck again. It really helped having both of us there. We could really work on that presentation and doing it together. But one of these presentations was special, at least to us. One of them we did actually on the way, en route to Wisconsin. That one right there in northern Indiana. We drove that route. We went down 69 and we stopped there, and you should have seen it. We had a 3-car convoy pulling into this church parking lot. I don't know how anybody else parked in there. And with our moving stuff, we stopped on a Sunday night, presented to the people there in Mishawaka, Indiana. And then you see Cornerstone over there. We went the rest of the way. A very windy day through Chicago, I might add. It was a fun drive, but made it fine, and I'll give you the summary of those numbers. 28 days of presenting over the 4 weeks, about 1,100 miles or so. A little bit of cost there in fuel and food, but not a lot since we're based right there in Michigan. And so the difference came out to be almost $1,100 of offerings that they bestowed on us, all 10 of these churches, and we are so grateful for that. Let's move on to this globe-trotting tour here. Now we move ahead to May 17th. So we were here for about a month, and then around May 17th we went down to Indiana. We started there and then headed back out to California for the next part of our trip. So over about 30 days, I think it was 35 including the travel time, we ended up being able to present to 15 different churches, including a couple other opportunities at association meetings and the like. 3 in Indiana and the rest in California. And if you're wondering why we jumped from Indiana to California, there was a very important association meeting we had to be at Fresno, California, and we kind of based all of these trips around that time. So let's bring the icons back up and show you where we went at this time, kind of keep track of the mileage. Now keep in mind, this is a 5-day span, okay? So from 5/17 to 5/22, this is what we did. Brother Joe and I drove down to Brownsburg, Indiana. We had an Eyes on the North meeting there Friday night, and then drove up to Marion, Indiana, and had another Eyes on the North meeting on Saturday morning. And that's another story for another time, but it went great, awesome time. Brother Joe was able to present that Sunday, would have been 5/19, I believe it was, to 2 churches in Indiana, and I was able to share with 1 church. Right after that, Brother Joe got on a plane, and he went to California and awaited our arrival. Brother Sonny and I, we ended up going down to Texarkana, Arkansas, and 730-mile drive. By the way, he got to fly. I had to drive with 2 other preachers that did nothing but talk the whole way. Okay, so needless to say, I had my earbuds in, and it was a good time. We had a great time. Now, we were there at the missionary meeting in Arkansas, the Standing Missionary Committee. Again, it was tied to having the other churches in our association coming on board and helping with my salary. And so we were there to officially present ourselves and to request help and financial assistance. So that was a very important meeting. And after that, Brother Sonny got to go home. And I hopped on a plane from Little Rock to California to meet Brother Joe there. And from there, we had 12 13 other presentations, 12 or 13 other presentations in California. So that was a 5-day span. Once we got there, there's the total mileage there. Once we got there, I'll show you all the at least general locations of the churches that we went to around that association meeting. Again, trying to just save cost and putting all of these churches around. Now, California looks like a small state there, but that's really a lot of driving. It really is. We started kind of down in Southern California and went up to Central California, hit a few churches there, went up to Northern California around the Bay Area and San Francisco, came all the way back down after that to Southern California, where we were with Pastor Sonny's original church that he and Sister Carrie and the rest of everybody that was from when they first came here to Wisconsin. And I had a great time at a missions revival there with them. And then you can see there, Pastor Sonny flew out at the end of our 30 days or so, and he met us there in Southern California. We drove up to Fresno together to be at that American Baptist Association meeting. And essentially, it was several thousand churches of our like faith and order that were there represented. And we got to set up our booth there, and we got to talk to people and tell them what we were doing and ask them to pray for us and to present. And it was there at that meeting they decided to help us with my salary, which is an amazing amount. I think about $2,700 something that they contribute a month to my salary. So it's just a huge blessing. After that, we got to fly home. But we didn't come home. Well, we'll give you a summary first. 35 days on the road, 4,800 miles or so. Obviously, the expenses are going to be a lot more because of 3 guys traveling out there by air, 3 rental cars over the process of time, hotels. Although I will say, out of the 35 days there, we only stayed in hotels maybe 7 of those nights. So we were able to stay with other people from other churches for about 28 days to really cut back on costs. You can't really see that red number there, but red's usually not a good number. That's 26, 37, 22 in the negative in the red that we ran out there. Again, taking 3 people out there definitely adds to the expense. We got to fly back home, but we didn't get to come home, as I was starting to say. We flew into Indianapolis. We were able to visit a few other churches in Michigan and stay there until our regional church camp that we had on July 4th, the week of July 4th. So we were able to present to 6 different churches in Michigan, in Ohio, and Indiana as well. Kind of put those on the map so you can see them. Church camp is there in Dayton, Ohio. There are 23 different churches represented. So not only do we get to present at 6 of these churches, kind of spread out a little bit, but we were also able to present our work at that regional camp where 23 of our local churches were there represented. And of course, we were able to show them our video and ask them to pray for us. So it was great opportunities there. Again, you stay closer to home. Cost is a lot less of a factor. About 1,150 miles again, $1,389.70 that churches gave us. Those 6 churches, just amazing that how much they really bestowed upon us. Gave us after cost about $837 left over that went to the mission account. Finally, we're getting close to where we are now. August 5th through August 12th was our last leg, where we were gone this past time for the last 2 weeks, I think it was. We were able to schedule some things around a local association meeting. We have a lot of those in the summer, if you haven't figured that out. Association meetings all over the place. In South Haven, Michigan. So we were able to cram in a couple churches in Michigan and Indiana around those dates. And these are churches that are very near and dear to Brother Joe and I's hearts. South Haven, Michigan's where we attended seminary for about 5-6 years, got our degrees there. So the church has been very instrumental in helping us. Just put those churches on the map really quick. That's where the Eastern Baptist Association was in South Haven. Now, in addition to these 4 churches, we also got to present the work at that association meeting where there were 38 different churches represented. So again, you talk about really stretching the expenses and getting the most bang for your buck, as they call it. We were really able to do that. Kind of give you a summary. 8 days out on the road, 613 miles or so. Food, fuel, hotel, just a little bit over the difference. I will put in there, though, $36.48 left over. That does not include the last offering. The church we visited said they were going to send a check to us in the future, so we'll hopefully be seeing that soon. So you say, okay, that's a lot of numbers. That's a lot of information to kind of process. Well, you should have been there. It was a lot harder to process when you're running here and there, getting up early on Sunday. And you're like, what church are we at again? I can't remember. But basically, with all the presentations, the association meetings, the churches that we visited in Indiana, Ohio, California, and Michigan. There we go. I got them all. 39 total times we got to really share what God is doing already in our lives and Cornerstone here and getting us going. And received about $6,900 worth of offerings from all of these churches, which again is just overwhelming for us. Total expenses is $7,600, which again, there's that red number we don't like to see. $671.91 is the difference. So that's how much it cost us. It cost us to go out and to present for 39 times. $671.91. This church had to really invest that much. You know, that comes out to be $17.23 for every presentation we had. Now you say, well, what good did that get? What did that gain us? What good did it do for us? Let me just share quickly what it did for us. And we're already seeing the astounding blessings from that. Long-term blessings since our deputation. Churches, some of them we went and visited on that tour. Others we didn't. They just heard word of mouth, or they read our reports on the internet, or maybe got a copy mailed to them. But so far, in addition to those offerings that we already received on the road, we received about $2,500 in one-time support offerings. We've received $1,204.35 in monthly support. Monthly support that's committed. Now, that's not $1,200 every month, but we went back and we counted it up. That's how much we've received already in monthly support. And let me just add, all of this kind of revolved around going to that American Baptist Association, asking those other churches for assistance for my salary. If you just add up the last 2 months' portion of that salary, that comes out to be $55,1360. So that's $671 that we spent has already come back to us over tenfold to see what God is doing there. You say, well, why are you sharing all this with us? Well, part of this is the fact that you're the ones sending us. You've invested your time, your effort, the garage sales, the special offerings, and all of these things. And we wanted to show you where that money has gone and what a difference it's made so far. And I'll be honest with you, I see a lot more obstacles ahead. But it's exciting to me because I know that God has already met these needs. And He's going to meet any more that we come across in the future. And I guess the point that I have, just real quick before I turn it over to our praise team, is that I want to thank you all on behalf of my family, Brother Joe and Miss Jamie, as they get ready to tie the knot. I want to thank you for stepping out in faith. People are inspired by faith. When they see people living by faith and doing what they should be doing, it inspires people to step out in their lives. And you know what? When you cast a vision to people, if they understand that it's a God-given vision, they'll follow. They'll get on board and they'll support. And I think that's maybe the thing that we need to remember. This isn't Pastor Sonny's vision that he's casting out there. This isn't my vision or Brother Joe's vision. This is God's, that He's laid on all of our hearts at the same time. We're partnering together in this. But I wanted to say that you guys made this happen. It was your labor. It was your work. It was your effort. It was your tears. And I want to thank you for having the faith to cast that vision. Because I'll be honest with you, I see other churches, individuals, people are getting on board. They're following that vision that we've cast. They're joining alongside us. And there are so many things that we could tell you about these meetings and people giving out of the generosity of their hearts and really saying, you know what? Not only are we going to give money, but we're going to pray for you. We're going to be on board 100%. We're going to follow every little report that you put out there. We're going to be reading it. We're going to be praying. We're going to come visit you. And that means so much more than just sending someone a letter and saying, hey, we're starting this. Will you help? That face-to-face contact meant so much. And you all made that happen. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, of our hearts, to see what God is doing there. I'm going to turn things over to the praise team at this time.